So the difficulties that adults face when trying to learn chess are well documented. So the fact that an adult's brain elasticity is not the same as it used to be. There's the fact we've got much less time than we'd like, doing things like working, which we don't really want to do, but we have to, and chores and things like that. But is there something else holding the adult back? Is it you? So I want to go back about 11 years to when I first had a chess coach, and it was this guy who I was working with at the same place I was working, and he was rated something like in the brackets of 2200 to 2300. He was a British champion. He'd gone to America as a kid and things like that. So he was a really, really strong chess player. I was just a chess.com. We're probably 1200 on there or something like that. And he said, do you want coaching? Because I could absolutely accelerate your learning if you're going to take some lessons with me. So I said, yeah, okay, we'll arrange some time, we'll have some lessons. So he sat me down and he says, the thing is, I don't normally teach adults. I normally coach kids. Like, I don't even coach adults at all. I hate coaching adults. So he says, oh, why is that? He says, well, the fact is adults just do not listen. They're just stubborn. They don't listen to what I say. They argue back. Like when they're 1,000 rated and arguing back. And, I tell them that move's crap and they're saying it's not. And this is where, at the side of those adults like that, which is basically everybody he's ever taught was being an adult, he says he tells a kid to do something and just do it. He says, so I told him, well, I won't be like that, honestly. You can tell me what to do. I'll do it on the chessboard. I'm a complete novice. Well, I've played a little bit around and I've done tactics and things like that. I've got an openings book, right? And he said, okay, then let's play a little game then. So we played a game and he was white. Let me just start. And he opens e4, and I played e5, played this, and I went into the Petrov, and he went, no. I says, what do you mean? He says, no, you can't play that. I says, why not? I like the sound of it. I've read the intro in the book. Sounds pretty good. He says, don't play that. Yeah, it's playable, but don't do it. I says, okay. Yeah, following your advice. What shall I do then? He says, what you want to do is just play knight c6 and develop. I went, oh, okay, fair enough. And we played a game. We went into, I don't know, about 20 moves or something like that. And then he probably picked up a piece or something, or he took queens off. He says, oh, not bad. And then he says, he swapped it round. And he says, okay, then you have the white pieces. What are you going to do? Oh, you have the white pieces. I said, okay, well, I would be looking in the book, right, the opening book. And I think I'm interested in playing the Queen's Gambit. He went, no. I went, okay, then what should I play? He says, what you need to play e4, right? And then you need to develop and you need to attack. So I said, oh, I need to attack. He says, yeah, you need to be very aggressive. Play e4, develop, and be very, very aggressive. So I said, right, okay, yes, I'll do that. No problem. And then we had a few sessions together, and it was very, very instructive. And I looked at one of my 10-minute games. I used to play 10-minute games on chess.com. Right. And he said, oh my God, how the hell did you lose this one? It was like pieces up or something. I said, well, I just don't know. I just lost this game. He says, you lost from this position. He says, bloody hell, you must have played something crap. I says, well, yeah, I did. He says, go through then, let's see what it is. So in the position, I took a pawn. I just took this pawn in this position, not in this position, in a middle game position, right? And he says, oh, I wouldn't do that. He says, well, come on, I'm picking up material. He says, yeah, but what you're doing is you're opening lines of attack by taking that pawn. A strong player would just leave that material alone. So there were lots of good lessons in there. And a couple of things that, other things he taught me, and looking at individual games, analysing individual games, and my main message that it's been much more aggressive in that. Unfortunately, the guy left, he got another job somewhere else. So, I would have been continuing with coaching for a while, I think, because he was very good, very direct, very honest, very blunt, and that's what I like. I don't like someone pussyfooting around. I like people telling me what's good and what's bad. It's black and white, I like that. So unfortunately, he went away. But the overriding message of adults being stubborn, and those words, I could basically, memorize everything he said. Basically, have always stayed with me. So I was true to the word of playing e4 and developing and being aggressive. E4 and e5, I'm playing that. And trying to rapidly develop. I was looking over the games of Paul Morphy for rapid development and attack. And that lasted me right up to sort of 1600, something like that. Maybe 1700, I'm not sure. And And then I joined online groups and things like that, and people there were absolutely fantastic. And we had a lot of people who were in search of like how to improve as an adult. And people would spend, years or their life looking into different ways to improve, and going over things like that. And one guy, he said, "Oh, you're doing a lot of tactics trainer at the moment. I noticed you're doing 20,000 tactics trainers every few months." I said, "Yeah." He says, "I wouldn't recommend tactics training chess.com." And I said, "Why not? I'm trying to beat my skull, on the tactics, drilling tactics, doing what everybody says, tactics, blah, blah, blah." He says, "Yeah, but tactics trainer, I wouldn't recommend them for a number of reasons. And this guy's older than me, he's more experienced." And I went, "Oh, how come then?" And he said, "Well, the problem with the tactics trainer is the quality of the patterns aren't particularly very good on chess.com. And the fact that I'm going up in rating means that you're not studying lower level patterns. You're actually then doing calculation exercises, and what you want to be doing is pattern recognition," something like that, words to those effects. And I kind of went, "Oh yeah, kind of, yeah, sort of thing," but still carried on doing it anyway. That stubborn streak coming back again as an adult, and that set me back a little bit, I think. I mean, I obviously got quite a lot from doing random tactics training things on chess.com because, I did thousands of them, so I'd be seeing thousands of different tactics. And there were benefits from that, but there were also a lot of harmful things, like the fact that it was overextending attacking tactics and not doing sort of more defensive tactics, which was really equally important, really. And that kind of was a little bit detrimental in places. Also, the quality of the puzzles weren't always very good. And the fact that I should have been studying lower level tactics, 400 points below my rating, it was what we kind of worked out in the groups, really, it was the best sort of thing. So then, right, finish those now, so I can now concentrate on what I'm actually trying to do. So yeah, and then there was another guy coming along, and he's a little bit stronger than me, and he was really fond of blitz chess and bullet chess. And I was like, "Oh no, don't play blitz, it's bad for you, blah, blah, blah." I was on that side of the camp. Blitz splits people opinions 50-50 down the middle into two warring factions. And I was in the side that hated blitz because I was poor at it. And like everybody else on that side of the faction was kind of saying, "Oh, it breeds bad habits," or, it's not really helping towards development. And I kind of went through that for a year or two, then I played a bit. And I was sort of I basically tried to open my mind to it. And I looked at the benefits and I looked at the arguments. And I managed to sort of get rid of that stubbornness. I was thinking back to the coach that I had. And I'm thinking, I need to be more open-minded with certain things. And that sort of changed my mind eventually on blitz. And then I joined the other camp where I think blitz's plus review is really, really good and really, really useful. So that was another case where, at first, I was a little bit resistant. I was being stubborn again. I was stuck in my ways. And I eventually decided to sort of open my mind a little bit and, look a little further into the facts and the stats and listen to the arguments a little bit more. I was breaking down those stubborn barriers that was probably holding me back a little bit in terms of development, or certainly slowing my development down. That's what the conclusions I came to in the end. Just notice I've just got E4 randomly stuck on the board. Sorry, that's a little bit boring to look at, but I suppose you now know the first move to play in chess, right? The correct move. Yeah, right. So another thing which turned me on to blitz is the fact I was playing somebody, I can't remember now. It was the strongest player I played before over the board. I was playing for the C team, in the local teams, and he drafted him from the A team, right? Not like BA or anything like that, but not that sort of A team. But he was a strong player. He was probably 2,100, something like that, and I was probably 1,600 at the time. And I was in a position where I was sort of 10 minutes on the clock each, a little bit less. When times are pretty short, we played 30 odd moves, and I was in a winning position, and there was a winning tactic on the board, and I began to panic at the clock, right? Not the fact, 10 minutes is quite a long time, but the fact that I wasn't used to playing fast time controls, that 10 minutes is 9 minutes, is 8 minutes, is 7 minutes, and then, you could end up losing on time. So I panicked in the time pressure, and I totally blew it, and it really, really annoyed me. The fact that, people crowding around thinking, "Oh, it's going to be this big upset," and no, he's fluffed it because he's not used to playing fast. So that was one change. And that wasn't the only time that happened. That happened a number of times, a number of occasions where, I was playing the slow chess games Well, they're not that slow. They were 75 minutes with no increment. That's fairly rapid, to be honest, in terms of standard. But I was playing some 120 games with 0 increment as well. They were a bit better at the weekends. But what I'm saying is I was getting down to lower time controls, right? And I was panicking. I didn't want to lose on time. And that kind of panic made me lose games where I should have won. And I could have had some fantastic wins. So I started playing faster time control chess in order to try and like mitigate those time controls. So that was a beneficial factor as well. There you go, something much more interesting to look at. The D3 Roy, the best structure in chess, right? It's the only structure I know what I'm doing, basically. So yeah, so basically I'm just saying that adults do have this reputation for being stubborn. And I think, sometimes you have to self-reflect and sometimes take a step back and think, well, this is what I believe. I've read grandmasters say this, so it must be true. Right, but you can usually find an argument on both camps. It's the Trojan horse thing. I was always puzzled by that as a kid. Don't look Greek gift in the mouth. And what's the other one? Beware of Greeks bearing gifts. I thought, well, they can't both be right? So what I'm saying is, yeah, try and think, am I being stubborn? Am I just automatically jumping to the response that I've heard other people say? Stop a little bit, reflect, and try and be open-minded, because it could be you that's holding you back. All right, thanks for watching. Goodbye.